each one dwells, selves, goes itself, myself it speaks and spells, crying, what I do is me, for that I came. I say more, the just man justices, keeps grace, that keeps all his goings graces, acts in God's eye, what in God's eye he is, Christ. For Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs and lovely in eyes, not his, to the Father through the features of men's faces.
Daylight and Moonlight by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. In broad daylight and at noon yesterday I saw the moon sailing high, but faint and white as a schoolboy's paper kite. In broad daylight yesterday I read a poet's mystic lay, and it seemed to me at most as a phantom or a ghost. But at length the feverish day like a passion died away, and the night, serene and still, fell on village, vale, and hill. Then the moon in all her pride, like a spirit glorified, filled and overflowed the night with revelations of her light. And the poet's song again passed like music through my brain. Night interpreted to me all its grace and mystery.
It was an April morning, fresh and clear, by William Wordsworth. It was an April morning, fresh and clear, the rivulet, delighting in its strength, ran with a young man's speed, and yet the voice of waters which the winter had supplied was softened down into a vernal tone. The spirit of enjoyment and desire, and hopes and wishes from all living things went circling like a multitude of sounds. The budding groves seemed eager to urge on the steps of June, as if their various hues were only hindrances that stood between them and their object. But meanwhile prevailed such an entire contentment in the air, that every naked ash and tardy tree, yet leafless, showed as if the countenance with which it looked on this delightful day were native to the summer. Up the brook I roamed in the confusion of my heart, alive to all things and forgetting all. At length I to a sudden turning came in this continuous glen, where down a rock the stream, so ardent in its course before, sent forth such sallies of glad sound, that all which I till then had heard appeared the voice of common pleasure. Beast and bird, the lamb, the shepherd's dog, the linnet and the thrush vied with this waterfall and made a song, which, while I listened, seemed like the wild growth or like some natural produce of the air that could not cease to be. Green leaves were here, but 'twas the foliage of the rocks, the birch, the yew, the holly, and the bright green thorn, with hanging islands of resplendent firs. And on a summit, distant a short space, by any who should look beyond the dell, a single mountain cottage might be seen. I gazed, and to myself I said, our thoughts at least are ours, and this wild nook, my Emma, I will dedicate to thee. Soon did the spot become my other home, my dwelling, and my out-of-doors abode. And of the shepherds who have seen me there, to whom I sometimes in our idle talk have told this fancy, 2 or 3 perhaps, years after we are gone and in our graves, when they have cause to speak of this wild place, may call it by the name of Emma's Dell.
Loveliest of Trees, the Cherry Now, by A.E. Housman. Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is hung with bloom along the bough, and stands about the woodland ride, wearing white for Eastertide. Now of my 80 years and 10, 20 will not come again, and take from 70 springs a score, it only leaves me 50 more. And since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs are little room, about the woodlands I will go, to see the cherry hung with snow.
Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats. My heart aches, and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains 1 minute past, and Lethewards had sunk. 'Tis not through envy of thy...